Most men are taught to chase love. But what if I told you that very pursuit is the reason she's pulling away? This isn't about games. It's about power, your inner power. And once you understand this shift, you'll never look at relationships the same again. There's a quiet moment every man experiences where reality hits like a punch to the gut. You've been chasing, connecting, hoping your effort will be enough. You text first. You wait hours for replies. You compliment her beauty, thinking it will win her attention. But deep down, she's not meeting you halfway. And the truth? She doesn't have to. Because the game was never meant to be won by chasing. You've probably felt it before. She was interested until you showed just how much you cared. Then suddenly she cooled. Fewer texts, less eye contact, more confusion. And inside you started to sink ashamed, unsure, addicted to hope. Millions of men fall into this silent trap. Not because they're weak, but because they were never taught the real rule of attraction. When you give away your emotional power to be chosen, you lose the very magnetism she was drawn to. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And your need for her approval? That's exactly what's controlling you. Women can feel the difference between a man who stands in his worth and one who performs to earn it. When you stop chasing, when you stop seeking her validation and start reclaiming your self-respect, everything changes. Not because you've learned how to play, but because you've remembered how to lead. Take a moment and ask yourself, are you acting from desire or from desperation? Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And if your mind is consumed with pleasing her, your life will always revolve around someone else's approval. This shift isn't about punishing her, it's about choosing you. Because the moment you stop performing and start standing still, that's when the dynamic flips. That's when she starts to notice the absence of your energy. And silence, when it comes from strength, is louder than any plea for attention. There comes a point where you stop trying to impress and start paying attention. You begin to ask deeper questions. Does she bring peace or chaos into my life? Does she truly listen or just wait for her turn to speak? Does she match my energy? Only respond when I overextend? That shift in focus changes everything. You go from being the performer to being the evaluator. Rick once shared a story. After weeks of silence, Vanessa finally told him, "You're kind. But it felt like you were trying to win me, not understand me." That's the trap. You focus on her image, not her. You turn her into a fantasy. And no real woman can live up to that illusion. Women don't want to be chased. They want to be seen. They don't want to be captured. They want to be chosen by a man who is calm in the presence of beauty. Not because he's cold, but because he's composed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself. You stop chasing beauty. You stop seeking your worth in her reaction. You stop pouring out attention hoping for approval. Instead, you offer presence. Calm, steady, grounded. You no longer text essays to one-word replies. You don't confuse her smile with permission to lose yourself. You bring stillness. You observe. You ask real questions. That energy, that quiet, confidence, that's what flips the dynamic. Because now, you're not hoping to be chosen. You're deciding who you choose. You don't stay grounded to win her affection. He who is brave is free. Stay grounded to protect your own peace. And that peace, she feels it. Most men, when met with a woman's emotions, react in two ways. They either try to fix her, or they flee. Her feel unsafe. The rare man, the unforgettable one, does neither. He doesn't try to win the moment. He holds the moment. Listens without judgment. Stays calm in the storm of her chaos, not because he's detached, but because he's anchored. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That strength is what women remember. It's what they trust. It's what they crave. Because here's the paradox. The more emotionally safe she feels around you, the more she opens up. Not just emotionally, but but intimately, not out of manipulation, but because she no longer needs to wear armor around you. Real intimacy isn't a performance, it's presence. David learned this. He slowed down, he stopped trying to impress. He let silence exist without rushing to fill it. And Teresa, she leaned in. She softened. She felt safe. That's what emotional leadership looks like. You're not leading her with words, you're leading with your energy, your stillness, Seneca wrote. No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. Being with an emotional woman isn't adversity. It's your opportunity to prove your peace, to model calmness, to embody strength. When she feels that, she stops testing. She starts trusting, and that trust builds something no compliment ever could. You don't have to earn this. Just be here. That single sentence woke Michael up. He wasn't leading, he was performing. When you lead, you don't chase approval. You move with clarity. You speak with purpose. You don't ask, do. You like me, you ask? Do I respect the man I am becoming? Leadership isn't loud, it's rooted. It doesn't beg for validation, it sets direction. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's stoicism in motion, not a performance, but a standard. Michael stopped trying to impress. He began showing up not with grand gestures, but with quiet consistency. He listened more, spoke less, planned with intention. And Leia noticed. She leaned in. She softened not because he controlled her, but because he created a space where she could relax. A man who performs makes a woman feel like she's being sold something, but a man who leads makes her feel like she's part of something. Seneca said, "It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable." And that's the essence of true leadership. Not dominance, but direction. Not manipulation, but calm purpose. When a woman feels that, she doesn't just admire you, she trusts you. She respects you. And that trust is the soil where real connection grows. You have the most beautiful eyes. Sounds sweet, right? But if that's all you ever say, you're not really seeing her. You're just admiring the surface. And surface doesn't last. Admiration fades, connection endures. The truth is she's heard it all before, from men who never looked deeper, from men who were too busy chasing beauty to notice her mind. Most men don't understand this. A woman doesn't just want to be told she's beautiful, she wants to be understood. She wants to be seen not as decoration, but as depth. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone shows me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." And in relationships, the truth is what creates intimacy, not flattery. When you see her beyond the makeup, beyond the curated self, you become more than just a man. You become a mirror. You reflect back who she truly is, and that's rare. Every day she's validated for her looks likes, comments, passing glances, but true presence dies. What gets her attention? It's when you notice how she lights up when she talks about what she loves. When you see the pause before a tough decision. When you hear what she didn't say out loud. That awareness creates trust. Trust creates desire. Seneca wrote, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." When you're not hypnotized by her beauty, you stay grounded, centered, and aware. She feels something different. She feels safe to open up, to drop the performance, to be real. And that's when real connection begins. Every man talks about confidence, but few understand the real foundation beneath it. Boundaries, not the loud, angry kind. The calm, steady kind of line drawn not to control her, but to protect yourself. Because a man without boundaries isn't generous, he's unstable. Instability never makes her feel safe. It makes her feel like she has to lead. Women test you not to break you, but to feel you, to feel your strength, to feel your line. Mark had to learn this the hard way. For years, he'd bend, he'd explain, he'd chase harder when a woman pulled back, but not anymore. This time when Jenna canceled last minute again, he didn't react, he didn't beg. He calmly said, "I'm looking for consistency, and that's not there, I pull back." No drama, no pressure, just truth And that truth, she felt it. Not as punishment, but as clarity. She knew where he stood. For the first time, she could relax. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Your boundaries aren't about her. They're about you. They're your quiet declaration. I will not abandon myself to be loved. That's power. That's what makes you magnetic. Not your charm, not your muscles, your emotional sovereignty. When she feels your line without fear, without anger, she respects you. And with that respect comes attraction. Because she knows you won't collapse under pressure. You won't bend just to keep her close, Seneca said. A gem cannot be polished without friction, and neither can a man become strong without holding his standard. So hold it. Even if she walks away because the right woman won't test your boundaries, she'll rise to meet them. There's a quiet kind of power that most men never tap into. It's not in bragging, not in trying to be the funniest, flashiest, or most charming man in the room. It's in presence, still grounded, unapologetic. Most men compete thinking they need to outshine every other guy to win her over. But when you do that, you've already lost. Because you've accepted the frame that she is the prize, and you are the contestant. But a man who commands, he doesn't audition, he doesn't chase validation, sets the tone and lets others adjust, Marcus Aurelius said. The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think, or do only what you do, that's command. Not control, not ego, but calm clarity. James understood this. While other men circled Claire, flattering her, chasing her, he did something radical. He stayed silent, present, observant. He didn't try to win her. He watched how she treated others. He didn't compete for attention. He gave her the gift of realness, and she felt it. Command isn't about being better. It's about being solid. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." And nothing is braver than standing in your truth while others scramble for approval. So stop competing. Start choosing. Be the man who walks into the room not asking, "Do they like me?" but quietly knowing, "Do I align with this energy?" That's power. And that power, she feels it without a single word. There's something powerful that happens when a man stops asking to be chosen and starts choosing for himself. Most men don't even realize they're performing. They show up polished. They smile, flatter, and try to impress, all while silently wondering, am I good enough for her? But that question flips the frame. Now she is the evaluator, and you become the applicant. That's not leadership. That's performance. Performance is exhausting for you and for her. Epictetus wrote, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid, because growth begins when you let go of the need to please." Peter learned this the hard way. Years of bending in relationships, nodding when he disagreed, complimenting what he didn't admire, staying silent when his values were crossed. Until one night, drained and unseen, he asked himself, why am I treating her attention like a reward I have to earn? From that moment forward, he shifted. He stopped trying to impress. He started to observe. He asked, does this woman align with my peace, my purpose, my path? Something changed. Women felt it. Not because he became arrogant, but because he became intentional. Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And Peter's thoughts became clear. I'm not here to be picked. Here to align. When a man chooses on his own terms, he's not harsh. He's discerning. He's not looking for attention. He's looking for truth and that energy. It magnetizes the right women, not those who demand performance, but those who rise to meet his standard. When you've spent years building peace, when you've earned emotional clarity, don't hand that over just because someone smiles at you. Attraction is easy. Alignment is rare. Real men don't chase spark. They seek substance. They look past charm and beauty and ask, does this connection honor who I've worked to become? Marcus Aurelius said, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That principle applies to love too. If the connection doesn't reflect your truth, walk away. It's not rejection. It's self-respect. You're not turning her down, you're standing for something deeper. Man who says, "You're beautiful, but beauty isn't enough," or "I enjoy this, but I need more," isn't being arrogant. It's being clear. And that clarity, it's magnetic. Seneca wrote, "He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary." You don't need to suffer in misaligned connections. You just need to choose better. Quiet strength leaves a lasting impression. You don't have to prove your worth. You just have to live it. That's what leadership in love looks like. Not controlling, not chasing, but choosing with clarity, with courage. Your standards are more attractive than any compliment. Most men don't get this. They think being agreeable, always saying yes, never challenging her, that's love. But in reality, that's forgettable. Min, a 52-year-old consultant, thought love meant sacrifice without limits. He canceled meetings for Lynn. He ignored small signs of disrespect. He even agreed to things that went against his values, all to avoid conflict. But slowly she pulled away. Why? Because when you abandon your standards, you send a message. My time, my values, my boundaries don't matter, Epictetus said. No man is free who is not master of himself. A man without standards is never free. He's a slave to approval. Die, another man, learned this truth early. He told thou, calmly, I value honesty. If we're not aligned, I'd rather know the truth than pretend. That single statement, it shifted everything. She respected him more. Because true strength isn't about bending. It's about standing quietly, firmly. Or Seneca wrote, a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Every time you hold your boundary, you sharpen who you are. Not every woman will stay, but the ones who do, they'll rise to meet your standard. Because respect once earned becomes desire. So ask yourself, what will I no longer tolerate? What values define me beyond her beauty or charm? Answer that honestly and live by it. Because a man with standards is impossible to forget. Let's end with the one trait that changes everything. Not just how she sees you, but how you see yourself. Emotional sovereignty. The ability to remain unmoved by storms you didn't create. When she tests you, when her energy shifts, when silence lingers longer than comfort, you don't flinch. You don't chase. You don't spiral. You remain. Not because you don't care, because you refuse to be ruled by things beyond your control. Epictetus said it best. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Most men lose themselves in the reaction, trying to explain, overexpress, beg for clarity. But the man who stays still, he becomes unforgettable. Emotional steadiness isn't coldness, it's strength. It's the rare energy of a man who doesn't trade his peace for proximity, who doesn't mistake emotional chaos for intimacy. She pulls away, you observe. When she's silent, you stay grounded. When she tests your edge, you don't explode, you hold the line. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. At events, she feels that power not in your words, but in your calm. And here's the truth. The moment you stop needing her reaction to validate you, you reclaim something most men never find in her authority. Not dominance, not detachment, but unwavering self-respect. That's what turns attraction into devotion. That's what makes you irreplaceable. Once you've lived in your center, where peace isn't a performance, no drama, no games, no emotional tug-of-war can shake you, you'll ask yourself why you ever accepted anything less. Because this is freedom. It's not freedom from her, but freedom from the need to prove, to chase, to impress. Epictetus wrote, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. When you stop trying to control how she feels, how she reacts, you regain control over yourself, and that changes everything. You no longer bend to be liked. You stand to be respected. You no longer react from fear. You respond from truth. This isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. So guard your thoughts. Choose stillness. Inside this way of life, we don't chase, we lead. We don't perform, we embody. We grow together. Thank you for walking this path with me, okay? And if this awakens something in you, don't forget it. Live it.